Good morning. Would like to welcome you all here this morning, and you are in for a treat. Our speaker is Chardell Buchanan, and it is my privilege to introduce her as my sister-in-law and mother of Benjamin Buchanan, my almost 15-year-old nephew. Chardell is a registered dietitian, nutritionalist, and, most important, dedicated parent. Chardell's work focuses on enhancing the well-being of families navigating rare diseases through nutrition. Her personal and professional experiences offer valuable insights into the importance of caregiver health. When Chardell's own son was diagnosed with Phelan McDermid syndrome, she firsthand experienced the challenges that she was facing herself by not taking care of herself and being able to eat and make the time that she needed. So from that knowledge, she has put together with her education and background tools that can not only help parents of kids with special needs, but they can help all of us. So it is my privilege and honor to introduce Chardell, and we are really in for a treat today. Welcome, Chardell.
Good morning. Can I get a raise of hands, like, who got the full night's sleep last night? Oh, I see a couple hands. We need to give them the slow clap because that's awesome. We are really, really happy for you. I did not, but it wasn't because of Benjamin. It was because I was so stinking excited to be here today. Like, this is gonna be so fun. I hope that you are awake and ready, and if you're not, don't worry, I'm gonna get you awake. But you are in the session for nutrition and the immune system for people who have Phelan McDermid syndrome. This is the PMS edit, and we're gonna talk about how to use nutrition to strengthen your child's immune system. You know, there's a lot of kids who have infections, who get hospitalized, and we want to reduce the intensity of those infections so that they don't last as long when they do happen, and maybe even they don't happen really frequently at all. That would be the best, right? So here we go. As we go through today, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. This isn't really a lecture. I'm actually going to be asking you some questions as we go along, so be ready for that. Okay. This is my core belief. I believe that what you offer your child to eat absolutely matters. Absolutely matters. Because you probably have your own experience with this, right? When you're eating food that's really nutrient dense, you feel better, right? You feel more alert, you feel more awake. Think back to a time in your life when maybe, you were traveling or something like that, and you kind of ate food that maybe was considered more calorically dense or didn't really have as much nutrients. It was more like you were just eating, right, to stay alive kind of thing. And some people might even call this like junk food. I don't do that, but some people might. And the more you eat that over the day, you don't feel so great, right? You kind of feel sluggish. Maybe your intestines aren't working the way they should, and then you kind of feel uncomfortable. You've all felt that way. It's the same with our kids. Maybe they can't communicate it as well, but they feel the same way. If they're not eating food that's really nourishing them and helping them to feel good, it's going to impact how they feel. It's going to impact how they behave, and it's going to impact their ability to stay healthy and strong. So we're going to talk about the kind of foods today that are going to help your child. All of you are here today because, number one, you're good parents. You're good caretakers. I want you to know that. I see you. As a fellow parent, I see you. I know that you're here because you care about your kid and you want to give them the best life possible. So I just want to say I'm proud of you for being here, for learning, for being at this entire conference and learning all about how you can help your child. Number two is you want to know straight up, like, don't beat around the bush, Chardell. Just tell me, what do I need to do to help my kid, right? That's why you're here. And I'm going to help you do that. If you're looking for a magic pill, this is the wrong room, guys. Sorry. There is no magic pill here. It's just a little bit different because what I'm going to talk about today is how to strengthen your child's immune system through food. So that's going to take a little bit of time, but it can work. In fact, Mark and I were talking I don't know, as I was getting ready for this, but I can't even remember the last time Ben was sick. Somebody, knock on wood, who's by wood, really quick, because, thank you, because I don't want him to get sick by saying that out loud, but because of the food that we're offering Ben and we're feeding him, I honestly cannot remember the last time he was sick. So I just want to say this works. It's worked for Ben. I know it can work for your child too. Okay, if you need a little water, if you need a little snack to keep you hyped up, grab it now, because I'm going to go kind of fast. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you exactly how to apply what you learned today. Because I know that we've been in some of these sessions and we talk about these really big things, and then you leave and you kind of go, okay, well, that was cool to learn, but what do I do with it? I'm going to show you what to do with it, okay? Because I've been in your shoes. I'm probably going to get fired up. It's just who I am. And I'm going to ask you some questions, so, yeah, thank you. I'm going to ask you some questions, so be ready to answer, okay? It's totally fine. We're all friends here. I went to the Advances in Autism conference back in April with these lovely women who I'm sure you know. This is Andrea and Kara. And while we were there, I mean, it was fantastic. And the same presenters were there that you know and love, right? Dr. Buxbaum was there, Dr. Alex was there, Paige Seiper was there, and they were all presenting, but this was on therapeutics. They were talking about drugs, okay? And they were talking about precision therapeutics. It was fascinating. It was so cool, and they were talking about clinical trials. And at the end, they had a Q&A. Three questions came up that were about nutrition. There was not a single talk that was about nutrition. Not one. And you should have seen me. Andrea can probably attest. I was sitting at the table and it was like, oh my goodness, we're talking about nutrition. This is so exciting. And I was waiting for the panelists to answer, and they didn't. Because guess what? That's not their scope. They're researchers. They were talking about therapeutics, about drugs. I'm the dietitian. I'm the one who gets excited when we talk about food. So anyway, 3 questions came up about diet, and I realized this is what we want to know as parents. We want to know, what can I feed my kid to help them? Because yes, clinical trials, they're really, really hopeful, right? The stuff that we've heard about, that's so fun, that's so exciting. Drugs could be amazing, but they're years down the road. They have to go through FDA approval. We have to make sure they're safe and efficacious. Guess what? We want to know what we can do to help our kids right now. And I've never heard of, raspberry farmers getting sued because their raspberry hurt people. So we're going to talk about food, things that you can do right now. Oh, man, that's a bummer. It was so pretty. Just pretend it looks nice. You want to know straight up what to feed your child, and I'm going to tell you. Here we go. But first, because this is kind of a scientific conference, I'm going to tell you why. We're going to look at the science behind why what I'm going to say is going to work, because I think you probably want to know that, right? So here we go. Number 1, vitamins and minerals are known to enhance the immune system. We know this. And we know that doctors who work with kids who have autism, a lot of our kids have a secondary diagnosis of ASD, right? So those doctors believe that their children that they treat are prone to immune system dysfunction. So we're just going to say, by extension, our kids probably are too. I should start out with a caveat. There is no current research on nutrition and PMS. So sad, right? Dr. Persico, who is actually presenting in the other room, which another bummer because I would love to be in there, he did a study. We're going to talk about it in just a second, but it wasn't specifically on PMS and nutrition. It was, but it wasn't. We'll talk about it in just a second. Anyway, the point is, vitamins and minerals are known to enhance the immune system. We know which ones they are, and we know that they help. So we're going to go off what we know, since there aren't any other studies that we can use. So first of all, we know that, right? Secondly, here is the study that Dr. Persico did. It was specific in that it used vitamins to target PMS, okay? And guess what? Good results. Yay! Right? That's so cool. It's so cool because we know that our kids are going to react well to these vitamins. They can be absorbed. They help our children. Now, he was using it to help them with motor function, cognitive skills, not necessarily boosting immunity or helping them with their overall nutrition, but we know that it works. So that's pretty cool, right? I think that's pretty cool. Okay, the other one is we have some studies that talk about PMS and the microbiome. You've probably heard that word before. It's the bacteria that lives in your gut, the good bacteria that lives in your gut. Yesterday, Dr. Bennett talked a lot about how the gut and the brain are connected, right? The bacteria in there is helpful. We need it. This is actually Dr. Buxbaum worked on this project, and they showed that Shank3 knockout mice have altered microbiomes. So we can say, well, if that's true in the mice, and that's true in the animal model, it's probably true in the humans, right? Probably also have altered microbiomes. Okay, we know this from other science, not done specifically on people with PMS, but increased immunity is related to how healthy your gut microbiome is. That's awesome, because you know what that means? We can do something about it. We can do something about it. The gut is a major site of immune activity, and the production of antimicrobial proteins is really, really important. The food your child eats, that food determines what's living in their gut. And we want to make their gut healthy. So we know that a diet high in fiber, which is plant-rich diet, right? So we got a lot of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, legumes, that supports the microbiome. This is what we want to be feeding our kids. Because the stronger, the healthier that their gut microbiome is, the stronger their immunity is going to be. Okay. Our best plan, as we try to help our kids have healthy immune systems, is to offer foods rich in vitamins and minerals, and we're going to use supplements if necessary. I got to say that out loud. I'm a dietitian. I'm a food first kind of person. Okay? I believe in food first. We start with the food. If for some reason our child isn't tolerating the food, or we notice that the blood work doesn't change, then we look at supplements. But I'm a food first kind of person, and that's what I want you to be too. Okay, cool. Cool, Chardell. That's awesome. Which nutrients are they? These are the ones that are most important. I see you all taking pictures. Guess what? I got you covered because I've been to this conference before. I got a handout. Don't worry. I got a handout. You're going to be great. Okay, but you can take pictures. That's fine. If you do, get my good side. In fact, I don't have my phone. Okay, before we're done, we got to do a selfie with me and all of you because pick or it didn't happen, right? Oh, by the way, I'm being live streamed. If you're live streamed at home, would you do me a favor? Take a screenshot. I don't want to see your face next to mine. Oh, did I advance it? Sorry, guys. Okay, here's the thing. Iron. I'm going to go over them pretty quick, but I want you to know what foods have these in them. And you're looking at that list and you're like, Chardell, organ meats? Come on, my kid's not going to eat organ meats. I know. But I'm also a dietitian and I have to let you know that that's a really great source of iron. So now you know. But your kid probably eats some of these other foods, right? We talked, well, not we heard yesterday that some of our kids are low in iron, and this can affect them, especially with their sleep, right? Iron, the level of iron you have your child, we can determine that by a blood test. If it is low, yes, you can do supplements. We had to do that for Ben for a while. But you can also do it through food. It's because, here's my caution with iron. If you get too much, it can have serious consequences. So we want to be really careful if we're giving an iron supplement, that we're monitoring that with blood work, and when the level gets to where it needs to be, then we stop with the supplement. Does that make sense? I'm going to tell you that on a lot of these. If your child is not iron deficient, there's no reason to give a supplement because we don't want to risk anything happening, okay? If your child is getting a multivitamin mineral, there is iron in that, so you're already covered. Okay, but if you suspect that there may be an iron deficiency, you can do a blood test to determine. It's really easy. You can tack it onto one of your other blood tests that you're already doing. You know, it's me. I'm pushing the button the wrong way. Here we go. Magnesium. This is the second one. Magnesium supports the immune system, and in a really big way. This is the same thing I said before, though. This is why, as a dietitian, I believe in food first. If you are giving a supplement, it comes with a caution. We don't want to give too much, okay? This is going to negatively impact our child if they're getting too much. So start with the foods. See the foods listed on the side there? There's a lot of them. These are foods you can offer your child that have magnesium, okay? Another one, selenium. Selenium is needed in a very, very small amount. It's called a trace amount. It's like basically nothing, but it's really important. So if you don't have that really, really small amount, it can affect your child's immune system. If your child already has chronic diarrhea or inflammation in their GI tract, they can't absorb selenium in the amounts needed. So this is something we want to make sure they're not deficient if they're already experiencing that other issue. And it's important to get that issue, the chronic diarrhea, inflammation resolved so that they can then absorb the nutrients they need. Oh, I didn't ask. How many of you in here, your child is on enteral nutrition? 1, 2. Are you partial enteral and partial oral? Yes? Are you total enteral? Anybody total enteral? Okay, cool. So all of this will apply to you because your child can eat. If someone is total enteral, talk to me later because I have some specific things for you to do. Okay, vitamin A is really important to proper function of the immune system, and vitamin A is kind of cool because there's 2 kinds. There's preformed and there's carotenoids. They're both good. They're both good, okay? The only reason they're differentiated is because preformed comes from animals and you don't have to do anything to it in the body to absorb it and use it. Carotenoids just have to be converted in the body, but it's not a big deal. They're both good. These help make white blood cells, which we know are involved in the immune system, right? Again, too much can be toxic, but toxicity is really only seen when we're using a supplement. So if you're giving your child food, you're probably not going to get to a toxic level. Okay. Vitamin C. This has been shown, in fact, you probably know this for yourself, right? That vitamin C has been proven to decrease the incidence, duration, and severity of the common cold, which is why when you get sick, you try to drink orange juice, right? Vitamin C is also pretty fun because it's a buddy-buddy with iron. If your child is low on iron and you're giving iron as a supplement or you're trying to give iron-rich foods, give it with another food that has vitamin C in it and it will help the iron to be absorbed. So cool, right? They're buddies. It's awesome. And it helps, if you have any wounds, it can heal with that. And these foods are excellent sources of vitamin C. Vitamin D, again, with the cod liver oil. I know, we're probably not doing that. That's fine, okay? But I just have to tell you that it's good. There are several vitamins that are fat-soluble. Vitamin A, D, E, and K are fat-soluble vitamins. Anybody know what that means? I'll tell you. That means the vitamin cannot be absorbed by the body unless it has a source of fat there too. They have to hold hands to get into the cell. So if you're giving your child vitamin A, D, E, or K, you want to make sure that you're giving them a source of fat at the same time so that it can actually get into the body and be used. Other vitamins and minerals are water soluble, which means it's fine. As long as you have enough water, you're going to absorb them, and if you get too much, you're just going to pee it out. That's why if your child has like a multivitamin in the morning and then their pee's like bright yellow, it's those extra vitamins being peed out. Yeah. Everybody's like, this happens, right? You guys, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, okay. Vitamin E, same thing, it's fat soluble. There are 8 different forms. The form we're looking at for immunity specific is the alpha tocopherol. This one is going to help support the immune system, and you can find it in things like nuts, seeds, green leafy vegetables. Your kids will eat these. And then, of course, if you're deficient, it's gonna hurt your immune system. Zinc. Yesterday, we heard about, I don't even know how many people talked about it, but the fact that our kids, a lot of our kids are low in zinc, right? And so this is one that we know definitely helps the immune system. So if your child is low in it, you want to make sure that you're offering foods that have zinc in them so that we can improve that level in their blood. This is required to help activate those T lymphocytes, which are immune system cells that fight off infection. So we want to make sure that we have enough of that. Okay. Now, I told you I'm going to tell you how to apply it, and I am. But first, I got to do a quick disclaimer because I'm a dietitian, yes, but I'm not your child's dietitian. You are the expert on your child. So anything that I say today, this is a general guideline because I'm talking to a lot of you, okay? I'm not doing specific things with you. And I can't do specific things with you because we're not in that kind of a relationship yet. We could be. Anyway, before you give your child any supplements, you got to talk to your doctor. And don't lie about it. You got to be straight up. Tell them what you're giving them because they got to make sure that the dose is appropriate, and they got to make sure it's not interacting with any of the medications your child is on, and we got to make sure that we're monitoring the levels so that we don't get toxic. Does that make sense? This is important. Anything I say today is general recommendation. You are your child's best advocate, and you know what will work for them, okay? So I'm just giving you some suggestions. Okay, now that we're cool there, let's go. Here's what you're going to do to help build your child's immunity. Number 1, you're going to offer a fruit and a vegetable at every meal and every snack. What's going through your head right now? going through your head. If you're thinking about, okay, fruits and vegetables, right? I just gave you a huge list of vitamins and minerals. Fruits and vegetables are highly concentrated in vitamins and minerals. We want to make sure that we're offering that to our kids. Every meal and every snack. This is going to help boost their immune system. Start here. This is like the best place to start. Fruits and vegetables. Every meal, every snack. That was easy. You guys are like totally on board. Okay, great. Number 2. Oh, well, I'm going to give you a question first. And this one I really would love if you could answer out loud. Whose kids oral? Lots of kids in here eat orally, right? Okay. Who's got like a middle school age kid? Nobody? Okay. Who's got an elementary school age kid? Okay, back there in the back. So, Bennett's coming home from school. It's time for a snack. What are you going to give him? Well done. Look at that. You didn't hear anything? Okay, so she said Bennett's coming home, and she's going to offer him some nuts and some fruit as a snack, right? Did I hear you right? Yeah. And some peanut butter. Even better. So he's getting good protein, and he's getting a fruit. Anybody else? What other kind of snacks do your kids eat? Potato. How can you add a fruit or a vegetable to potato chips? Because I'm not counting potato chips as a vegetable. Oh, you can have them. Listen, all foods fit. Everybody repeat it. All foods fit. One more time. All foods fit. Thank you. Okay, you can have potato chips. Add a fruit or vegetable to it. What are you going to eat with those potato chips? Oh, excellent. Guacamole, hummus, what else? You could just have an apple. What about vegetable juice? Okay. Oh, vegetable chips? Yeah. Those are good. Yeah, you can have those. Totally. I count those because potato chips I count them more as like a calorically dense food than a nutrient dense food. Let's not get into that right now because I could go on and on. But I love your suggestion. Okay, so you see how simple that is, right? I'm not saying your child can't have their favorite foods. I'm saying offer a fruit and vegetable in addition. Got it? How much time do I have? If your child does not eat the fruit or vegetable, don't freak out. Don't freak out. You're just going to offer it again the next time, okay? Or offer a different one the next time. It's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, I want you to offer a wide variety of fruits and vegetables because fruits and vegetables all have vitamins and minerals in them, but not all fruits and vegetables have the same vitamins and minerals in this. Are you kidding me? How much time? Was that a 10? Oh, okay, good, because I got a lot more to do. All right. All fruits and vegetables have vitamins and minerals, but they don't all have the same vitamins and minerals in the same amounts. So that's why you need a big variety. And this whole let your child choose, this is a behavioral thing. Our children are picky eaters, or they have a tendency to be picky eaters, and letting them choose between an apple and a strawberry gives them some control and helps them behaviorally. I can go into that in detail later, but the second thing you're going to do, number 1, fruits and vegetables, every meal and snack. Number 2, whole grains. Whole grains are loaded with vitamins and minerals that are going to help your child's immune system. Now, yesterday we talked about, I keep saying we talked, like I've been up here the whole time. I have not. Yesterday, it was discussed how some kids have gluten intolerance. That's fine. Guess what? There are more grains than wheat. If your child has a gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity, totally fine. You can offer other whole grains. I just want you to be offering a whole grain more than you're not so that we can build up that immunity. So I'll give you some examples of them a little later on. I'm going to give you a handout. Don't worry. When I say at least half, I get it. Sometimes you're going to have a sandwich on white bread. Totally fine. But maybe for breakfast you have a whole grain, like you offer your child oatmeal. Does that make sense? I want you to do it at least half of the time. And if you want to do it in a meal, like say you want to switch over to whole grain pasta for your dinner at night, start with half. Do half whole grain pasta, half white pasta, cook it in the same water, serve it all mixed together. That's a great way to start because A lot of our kids don't eat a whole lot of whole grains, right? They love bread, they love crackers, they love that crunchy stuff, but they're not eating a lot of whole grains. So we want to start with at least half and work up to more if possible. If you just do these two things, you're going to see a difference in your kids' immunity. Just these two things. This is where I want you to start. If you're like, whew, great, thanks, Chardell, goodbye, no problem, my feelings won't be hurt. Just do these two things, okay? This is going to help your child. When you're adding fiber into your child's diet, when you add fruits and vegetables and more whole grains, you're adding fiber. It's really, really important to make sure that you go slowly with it so that we don't upset the GI, and to make sure that your child's getting enough water. The really awesome thing about fruits and vegetables is they come packaged, like pre-packaged, with everything they need in them. Like, they got the fiber, they got the vitamins, they got the minerals, they got the phytochemicals, they've got the water. So if you are increasing fruits and vegetables for your child, you're automatically increasing the water too, which is great. It's gonna help them not be constipated. But with those whole grains, we wanna make sure we're getting enough water. So if you're doing an enteral feeding, make sure that you're flushing. We need the extra water in there to help keep that nice and soft, like Dr. Bennett was talking about yesterday. Okay, so I told you the two most important things, but we're gonna go on to the next one, which is offer water first every time. Whenever you're offering your child a drink, water first, every time. And if they drink the water and you wanna give them something else, totally fine. Totally fine. If they refuse the water and they drink the milk, fine. Next time, offer water again. Offer water first every time. It's really important that our children are hydrated. That will also help their immune system to function at its best. Okay, if your child is drinking juice, we wanna limit this, okay? No more than 1 cup a day, and by 1 cup I mean 8 ounces. Especially if your child already has loose stools, this is just gonna make it more loose, okay? If your child has chronic constipation, you're gonna offer pear or apple juice, and you can offer prune juice, 1 or 2 ounces mixed with apple juice or pear juice to help with bowel movement. Yesterday they talked about medications that help. I'm a dietitian, I'm gonna talk about food first. This is food first help for your child if they're constipated, okay? There we go. Now, number 4, the other food that offers a lot of immunity-boosting properties are lean sources of protein. These are going to be really helpful for your child. So when we talked about getting nuts for our snack or peanut butter for our snacks, that's great. It's really helpful for our children. But we want to make sure that we're offering a variety. Are they getting beans? Are they getting legumes? Are they eating lentils? Are they eating salmon? Make sure that you're offering a variety of these foods. Okay? Because just like with the fruits and vegetables, the bigger variety you have, the more exposure your child is having to those nutrients in different forms, and the better they're going to be absorbed into the body. So a lot of our kids like chicken nuggets, kid food, fast food, right? So every once in a while, instead of offering the same food, I want you to try offering something else. Have you ever tried, this is one of our family's favorites, we eat it a lot, the roasted chickpeas in a grain bowl. So good, and I'm gonna give you the recipe for it, and I'm gonna give you a couple of recipes if you just wanna screenshot that right there, or not screenshot it, what do? You hold up your camera, and it will take you to a link, and on the link, you click the one that says immunity boosting recipes. I've given you quite a few. Try these out with your child. These are ones that Ben eats, so we know they're pretty good, and your kid might eat them too. Try them out, just see what you think. Everybody get that? I'm going to show it again a little later if you need to, but immunity boosting recipes. They're not too hard to make because I'm a mom. I know how it is to have a healthy helper in the kitchen as you're trying to cook. These are not too hard to make. You can do it, but they incorporate all of these foods that we've talked about and covered today into meals that you can feed your family. Okay? Everybody got it? All right. Supplements. Now, we talked before about if your child has a low blood amount of a certain nutrient, right, and we're trying to increase that, and you offer food first and it still doesn't go up, I would consider a supplement. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm a dietitian, so I'm not gonna prescribe a supplement for your kid. I'm not gonna tell you this is what you should give. I'm going to ask you to consider it, okay? You must tell your doctor what you're giving your child because some can be toxic in high doses like we saw before, and we definitely don't want that. Number 1 to consider is a multivitamin mineral, and this is for all the kids, this is actually for everybody in this room, you consider a multivitamin mineral supplement. I take one personally every day. I think they're fantastic. It's just a little extra coverage, and guess what? What's already in a multivitamin mineral is at a safe dose to take daily. They are, whatever your body doesn't need will just come out. You'll just pee it out. It's not a big deal. But it gives you a little bit of extra insurance knowing that you're getting a daily recommended amount of vitamins and minerals. No, there's not a specific brand or anything I recommend, but I just want you to consider it, okay? Number 2 is fish oil, which has omega-3s. Very good for building the immune system. Omega-3s can also be found in things like salmon, walnuts, chia seeds. So it's not the only thing, but if you're looking for a supplement of omega-3s, fish oil is a good one to do, and it can also be done safely every day for your child. It helps with cognitive function, helps those vitamins and minerals to be absorbed. So consider that one as well. And then Dr. Persico, he talked about vitamin E and vitamin B. He called it a polyvitamin B, but that's just like a B complex, which is a lot of B vitamins put into one one pill. The things to remember with this is vitamin E is fat soluble, so if you're giving that as a supplement, which is great, by the way, helps with myelination in the brain. Vitamin E is a great thing to supplement with if you're wanting to do that. But just remember, you want to add a source of fat when you're giving it to your child so that it gets absorbed. And then a B complex, you want to give that to your child only if your child is not on a multivitamin already, because a multivitamin has B complex in it. Does that make sense? We don't need to double dose that. That's redundant. We don't need to do that. But if your child's not on a multivitamin and you want to give a B complex, that's great. Again, just consider those. Okay, now I'm going to give you that food list. Remember, you were taking pictures and I said, don't worry, I've got you. Here comes that food list. These are the food that is good for your child. And remember, I'm not saying these are the only foods you can give your kid. I'm just saying these are good sources of these things, and I want you to offer it to your child often. So I believe it's the second link down. It will say immunity boosting foods. And it's a handout that has all of these listed out for you, okay? So you don't have to remember. And you can download it to your phone or... Everybody good? Okay. Here's what you're going to do. Remember I told you how to apply this. Oh, thank you. We are great. How to apply this. Number 1, you're going to add a fruit or vegetable at every meal and every snack. Number 1 thing you're going to do after you leave here. And that's going to help boost your child's immunity. Now you know how to apply this, right? We talked about the science. We talked about why it's important. Now you know how to apply it. Fruit and vegetable, every meal or snack. You can do it. Number 2, whole grains, at least half. We want to make sure that we're offering those to our child. At least half of all the grains you're offering need to be whole grains. Did you know when you're looking at crackers, like goldfish crackers, you can buy the ones that are made with whole grain. They're a little bit harder to find because, I don't know why, because they're delicious, but you can find them. They're on the shelves. So if you're buying food for your child that you already know that they like, look to see if there's a whole grain option. Those crackers that come with peanut butter in the middle, make sure it's real peanut butter, please. They also come with a whole grain option cracker. Excellent. You're going to offer water first every time. Lots of water for our kids. It's good for them. And then a variety of lean sources of protein. This is it. You can do this, right? You feel like, yes, I'm going to walk away from this conference. There's something I can do. It's going to help my kid. You feeling this way? I'm feeling this way. I got to tell you, I was so excited to come and talk today because I'm like, this is stuff you can do. It's easy to implement. It doesn't cost you any extra money. It's not like we have to go get a fancy pill or anything. You just feed your kid food. You can do that. These are my references, in case anybody wants to know, for the sciencey stuff. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. It's been super fun. Mark, we got to take a picture. Pick or it didn't happen. But you all got to look a little more alive, okay? I need like smiles. Okay, here we go. Oh, we're going to have to do it this way. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Cheese! Nice job. Okay, when you see that on Instagram, you can find yourself. Honestly, for me, this is so cool to be here with all of you because I'm a mom just like you. I've done things that have helped Ben, and I used to think like, well, I'm just a mom, right? But the truth is, I'm a mom who's also a dietitian, and I've helped Ben with his nutrition, and I've seen benefits from that, and I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to share it with you because I know that you want to help your child too. So thank you for coming. You're doing a wonderful job as parents, feeding your children and keeping them healthy and strong, because there is no nutrition and where there's no research on nutrition and PMS right now. I buddied up with Kara Dubinsky. She's not here at the conference this year, but she's also a dietitian. She also has a child with PMS. And we want to do some research on nutrition. Yes, we do. If you're interested in joining, send me an email, okay? Because we're going to be starting this probably in the fall. It will be easy stuff, just like what we did today. I'm not going to make it hard. We're not going to be giving your kids injections or anything like that. This is going to be just some research on nutrition and individuals who have PMS so that going forward we have more information and that we know how to help our kids in a really scientific, this is proven kind of way. Okay, so please email me.
We switched over to the poll everywhere, but do you want us to go back to that
No,
other
cool.
slide?
You guys all know my name. It's fine. Yeah, Chardell at chardellbuchanan.com. It's perfect. We're going to do the poll everywhere, yeah?
Yeah, so Diane is going to go ahead and facilitate these questions for you. Folks, if you scan the QR code that's up at the top of the screen, you can add your questions in, or you can visit the link that's listed at the top there. And you can also upvote each other's questions, so that way we can get to the most popular ones.
Thank you. That's okay. We already have one. Chardell, what is your opinion on probiotics?
Ooh, yes. I love probiotics, especially if your child has been on, let's say they got an ear infection, they put them on an antibiotic, kind of cleans out their whole system, right? We need to build that back up. Probiotics are fantastic. I don't think that you need them all the time. I think you need them after an instance where the gut has kind of had we'll say an event, and it needs to be rebuilt. But yeah, I think they're great.
Okay, I have another one, Chardell. What about dried fruit?
Fantastic. The only thing about dried fruit that you got to worry about, okay, there's two things. Number one, sometimes dried fruit is dried with a lot of sugar. It can have a high concentration of sugar. Okay, so we want to be careful of that. Specifically, I'm thinking of like cranberries and mango has a lot of sugar. So just look for the option that's low sugar. It's fine. Also, with dried fruit, because it's dried, it doesn't have that water. And remember I was saying that fruits and vegetables come packaged with their own like perfect little mix there. If it's dried, it doesn't have the water in it, so make sure you're giving enough water to make up for the fruit being dried.
I have another one. Why are you so fantastic?
I think I know who sent that.
We
Thanks,
do think
Mark.
you're fantastic. So do fruit and veggie puree packets, like the ones you get at Costco, count as fruit and veggies?
Yeah, those are great.
Cool.
Like the little squeezy ones? Is that what you're talking about in the
Yes,
tubes?
it seems like that's what it is. Yeah, a lot of people
High
want to
five.
know that.
Great job. Those are good.
Good. Okay. Let's see. Is vitamin B6 helpful for metabolism?
Yeah, B vitamins are all the B vitamins play a role in metabolism. Who's worried about their kids' metabolism? Like what's your worry? Do you think that it's not fast enough? Or you worried about, elaborate on that for me, okay? Most of our kids, I'm sure you've seen as you look around, and Dr. Persico talked about this when he was doing his podcast with Dr. Still. Our kids, because of the missing SHANK3, they burn enormous amounts of energy. You've probably seen this in your child. They even if they're not running around all day, they're still using a tremendous amount of energy in their body just to run. And so I have found with our kids, we either have, there's not a lot in the middle. There's either kids that are like Benjamin, like really, really skinny. We have trouble keeping weight on him. Or there's kids that have trouble because they eat so much that they can't keep the weight off. I don't really see a lot of kids in the middle. So the B6 with the metabolism, I just would like to know a little more.
Okay, I have another one. Is it true that microwaving food kills the nutrients of the foods?
No.
So go ahead and microwave. Okay.
I should say, I don't think so. If you found a study that says that, let me know. It's just a cooking method.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Diane, my brain's turning here.
All right.
Yes, there are some ways when you cook food that cause a greater loss of nutrients, but I don't think it kills the nutrients.
Okay. We have another one. This one's a bit of a comment, too. I love the use of the word offer. What should we do if our child never takes up the offer?
That's okay. Okay, this is actually something that I've worked with several children on. It is difficult for our kids because of the challenges with expressive communication. They feel like they don't have a lot of control over their own lives. And I'm sure you can imagine in your brain how frustrating that is, right? When you're not in charge of what you're doing for yourself, and that can be really frustrating. And so a lot of times with kids, especially with kids with autism that I've worked with, that ability to say no for them is more about being independent than it is about not liking the food. And so there are things you can do to help your child feel better about making a choice, a healthy choice when it comes to food that gives them a sense of independence. So that's why I was saying, offer them a choice between, do you want an apple? Do you want a strawberry? This is if it's a truly behavioral thing, there are ways we can address it. If it is more of like a texture thing, again, ways we can address it. If it's a chewing, swallowing thing, these can all be addressed. So if you have a specific concern, like you can ask me personally, and I'm happy to help walk you through it. Did that answer the question?
I have one. Yep. Our daughter likes to have flavored water, so we use the different flavors for candy.
Different flavors for candy?
Candy. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to forward that. Different flavors for candy and would like any thoughts on that. How could you flavor water? So if your child doesn't drink water readily, what are ways that you can make it more appealing?
Yeah, you can totally add flavor to water. I prefer if you add in fruits, or like you could float a cucumber in there. You could add in a squish of orange or a squish of lime, something to give it a little bit of flavor. There are also flavorings you can add. Okay, this is from the Gospel of Chardell, so take it for what you want. I don't like to give our kids artificial sweeteners, okay? I don't like that for our kids because they do metabolize differently. So if you're going to give your child a flavored drink, like you're going to add in something like a packet, don't do the sugar-free, like the sugar substitute kinds, is all I'm saying. Obviously, we know it's not great for our kids to have a ton of sugar on their teeth because they already have problems with their dentition, right? So I would say offer fruit or vegetables that are floated in the water that kind of infuse it with a taste. That's where I would start with. If you're still having trouble, we can come up with some other ideas, but just start there with just some natural flavorings for the water.
Okay, I have another one. First of all, thank you for doing this. And
pleasure.
How do we help children who eat orally but do not chew, they swallow their food whole?
Yeah.
Do they get the proper nutritional value of it?
Yes.
If they're swallowing whole, not chewing.
Yeah. So what you can do as parents, the actual process of breaking down a food into components that can be absorbed by our body starts in the mouth, right? That's why we chew. We masticate the food, and it kind of starts that process of breaking down the food. You've probably seen this like when you slice an apple and it turns brown. Those enzymes are working to the kind of like breaking it down already, right? Same thing happens in your mouth. So if your child is not a good chewer, you're probably already doing this, but cut up the food or smash it up into smaller pieces, first of all, to prevent choking, but also that starts the process. Guess what? The stomach is amazing, and it can break down food. That's where most of the breakdown happens, is in that stomach acid. So it's okay if your child isn't completely chewing their food in their mouth. If they're swallowing bigger pieces, it's fine. The stomach will handle it. And then as it goes through the intestines and more enzymes are added to the food your child has eaten, they are breaking down even further, and then it gets absorbed. So it's okay. Mostly the concern is choking. You want to make sure your child's not choking. So you can break it down, you can blenderize it, you can puree it, whatever makes it easy for them to get it in. You're not losing the nutrients. You're just starting the process. Does that make sense? If you're blenderizing a food and you're leaving it out for hours, nutrients are going to start to get lost. But if you're like breaking down the food and then giving it to your child, that's fine. It's totally fine.
Okay, we have one question on, you mentioned preliminary plans for your research. How do people keep up to date with anything that's going on with research and food?
Research and food, I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's tough. I love to do it. This is kind of my job. I think it's fascinating. So you can reach out to me, but specifically for PMS and nutrition, there's just not a lot going on. If you want to know about nutrition and like immunity in general, there is information out there. Like there's quite a bit actually, but for PMS specifically, there's not. Let's get it started. Help me get it started.
Okay.
Send me an email and we'll get going on it.
All right. Let's see. What about when our children are allergic to peanuts and tree nuts?
That's fine.
What can we do?
You can get that. You can get those same nutrients from other sources. So if your child is allergic to peanuts, no problem. You can still get the micronutrients and the vitamins that are found in a peanut in other sources, beans, legumes, nuts. And again, if you're really worried about it, you can check blood levels, and we can add a supplement if you feel like that's something that would be helpful. But yeah, if your kid has an allergy, we're not going to give them that food, right? Mm-hmm. No matter how healthy it is.
Okay. Applesauce is a great delivery for pills.
Yes.
And any ideas on how to help with fiber?
So applesauce has fiber in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good for in both of those ways. Sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have one from outside the U.S. We live, out in the country. So they're buying groceries in bulk. So
Yeah.
how important is it to have the freshest fruit, and what are some of the things that you can do if you are doing that? So it looks like they buy in bulk for a 2 or 3 week stretch.
Okay, that's fine.
What can they do?
What you can do is, I want to help you with this. There are certain fruits and vegetables that deteriorate more quickly than other ones. So, for example, berries, right? Go bad faster than like an orange would. So if you're buying in bulk, you're buying maybe not in bulk, but maybe more higher volume at one time. Is that what they're talking about? And how to?
Yes.
So you would start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would start with eating those foods that you know are going to go bad faster, that have the shorter shelf life, and then the ones that have a longer shelf life, you would kind of hang those to the end. There's nothing wrong with buying food 2-3 weeks at a time. It's not like it's going to lose all the nutrition. You're still getting nutrition from it, but it may go bad faster.
Okay, we have one in here that reads zinc usually causes nausea.
It can.
Yeah, and is there any way to circumvent that?
Yeah, I say offer it with a food. If you're offering foods that are high in zinc, that is, the nausea usually comes if you're giving them a supplement. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? This is why I say food first. You're not getting the side effects with a food that you typically get when you're taking a drug or a supplement. So start with the food first.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on smoothies? Oh, sorry.
You take it at night? Nico's taking it at night, or you're taking it at night. Oh, yes, I understand. You're helping me answer the question. Thought you were asking the question. Yes, exactly. You can take it at night with your food, and then that will help with the nausea. But typically, if you're doing that's usually if you're doing a supplement that you're going to have that side effect.
Okay. Do you have any dietary suggestions for a PMSer with persistent loose stools?
Yeah. I do. When we see loose stools and persistently, okay, first of all, I would check with Dr. Bennett because we want to make sure there's nothing else going on there, right? But this could be due to the food you're offering. If you're offering foods that are not high enough in insoluble fiber, which is the kind of fiber that will bulk up the stools and make them not so runny. That could be part of it. So whoever this is, I would first look at the diet to see what typically your child is eating and in what amounts, and then based on what we find out there, maybe even refer to a GI to see if there's something else going on. If this is something that has been happening for a long time or happens frequently, I would definitely check it out and just make sure, because it depends on how loose it is too. Here's the thing. GI doctors talk about poop a lot. Dietitians talk about poop a lot. Is the thing. If it's really loose, or is it just kind of loose? I would need to know more details about the consistency and the occurrence and the frequency and all of that.
Which is what we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't have any of those specifics for this question, so sorry about that. We have some people watching virtually, and we have a question about pureed food. Do we have to worry about breaking down nutrients or changing?
No, it's like I said, it just starts that process. It just starts the whole process of breaking down a food into a way that you can absorb it. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, and does that include pureeing it ahead of time and keeping it in the fridge?
Yeah. I mean, unless you're doing it for like days and days in advance. But if you're doing it earlier in the day to have it later on, it's fine.
Okay. All right, great. Let's see. Do you have any particular multivitamin that you recommend?
Sadly, I
Or
cannot.
No? Okay.
No, I recommend that you look at the label and you make sure that it doesn't have anything in there that your child is allergic to. Sometimes there's a filler in those medications, or I keep saying medication, in those pills. In order to make it a pill, they'll add something like sucralose or corn syrup or something like that. If your child is allergic to any of those ingredients, then you don't want to be giving them that multivitamin. But most multivitamins have the vitamins and nutrients that your child needs in a daily amount that is safe. So I'm more worried about the other things that are in it.
What about stevia?
See, that's another one of those artificial sweeteners that I personally don't give, Ben. Now, if your child is diabetic, we should talk. But I don't really like to give them to our kids, just because they metabolize a little differently, the artificial sweeteners.
I thought stevia was good. Okay, I have another question from the virtual attendees. My daughter has a sensitivity to berries. Will she be getting sufficient minerals and vitamins with other fruit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No berries.
Totally. As long as you're offering a big variety, it's okay if there's one or two things. Listen, we all have foods we don't like, right? We all have, for some reason, that food isn't appetizing to us. It doesn't taste good. It's fine. That's why fruit comes in such a big variety, so we can find things we do like. So if you're cutting out one or two, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. What about pre-made smoothies? We have a comment here. Packets say one. Looks like they're packed with sugar. Okay, the
Sometimes.
pre-made.
Yeah. So we want to obviously avoid too much sugar for our kids, but I think if you are making a smoothie, you can make your own, right? Put your own fruits and vegetables in there. Look for a Greek yogurt that has low sugar content. Make your own smoothie. Are they talking specifically about like a pack you buy ahead of time? Yeah. Those can be high in sugar. So listen, if you have to do that, it's okay. It's okay. But if you can make it yourself or find a low sugar option, do that. I'm not trying to shame anybody here. I know it's hard. I know it's really hard to feed your child good food. And I know that sometimes that convenience factor plays a big role in what you feed your kid. That's okay. That's okay. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm feeding my kid this food from a packet and I'm not feeding them well. You are. You're doing a good job. And yeah, you could make some changes that maybe would be helpful for your child, but please don't beat yourself up, okay? Do the best you can, and that's all right.
Yeah, we had a question along that line about canned fruits and veggies.
Canned fruits and veggies are fine. That's just another way of preserving the food. Again, you're gonna look for canned fruits and veggies that don't have a lot of sodium and don't have a lot of sugar, because we don't need that extra in there. But there's nothing wrong with offering canned fruits and veggies. There's nothing wrong with offering fruits and veggies in any form. That makes sense? They can be fresh, they can be frozen, they can be dried, they can be canned. It's okay.
We have a clarification question on stevia. Did you mean that stevia is too processed, like added sugars? I thought that stevia was natural.
Well, it is
plant.
natural. It comes
Yeah.
from the stevia plant, right?
Mhm.
But I think, and like I said, this is the gospel of Chardell. You are adults. You get to decide what to do for your child. I don't give it to Ben. I give Ben, like, if he's getting something with sugar and I prefer that, it's just a regular, like, sugar.
Hey, Chardell, can you overcook veggies?
I mean, yeah. But again, if your child needs a really soft veggie, it's okay. I would rather have you give your child a veggie that has been cooked and it's very, very soft and you've lost some of the nutrients, rather than not give them a veggie at all because it's too hard for them to chew. Does this make sense? I think it's important that we're getting those in, even if it's not maybe at the highest form. It's okay.
Okay, so this one's a little personal. You can answer it the way you want.
Uh-oh.
Where do you eat? Where have you been eating while you're here?
Oh, this is the problem with traveling, right? It's hard. It's hard to travel. And this is what I mean when I say all foods fit. You're at a conference right now where you're learning massive amounts of information about your child who has a genetic disorder that you were not trained in, that you were not given an instruction manual on how to care for your child. This is overwhelming, and this is intense, and you're learning a lot. I don't want you to feel guilty about where you're eating in the mall, or if you're not eating in the mall, that's fine. We're eating food wherever we're eating food. I think we went to Wahlburgers and had a burger and tots. I love tots. It's fine. I want you to know that you can eat all the foods, and it's okay. The majority of the time, you're eating good foods, right? For breakfast at our place where we're staying, we're having fresh fruit and whole wheat toast and peanut butter and yogurt. Those are all good things. And then for lunch, we're eating whatever we're finding in the mall. It's fine. Your bodies are amazing. Your children's bodies are amazing. And we can make all of this work with the food we put in, even if it's not 100% the best, most nutrient-dense food all of the time. Okay? So if you're worried about me judging you when we go out to lunch together, it's not going to happen, because I don't do that. I think food is food. Food nourishes us in a lot of different ways. It can be through nutrition and nutrients, but it can also be like, man, that was an intense session, and I'm really overwhelmed because those videos were kind of hard for me to watch, and I just want a bowl of mac and cheese right now. That's fine. You can eat the mac and cheese. I'll eat it with you. Okay? Totally fine.
Okay, I think we have one last question.
Okay.
Fresh juice. Any concerns with fresh juice and the concentration of sugar, even though it's natural?
Yeah, so when we talk about sugar in fruits, right, it is natural, yeah. But when you juice something, you're taking out the fiber part of it, or at least most of it, and you're left with the sweet part, the juicy part. So I would say fresh, if you're juicing it at home, that's fine. Just remember that you're getting more of the sweet side of the fruit and not all of the really good stuff that's packaged in it. Now, for some of the kids, this is important. They need to still get the juice to get the vitamins and minerals that are in there. And if you don't get the fiber in that form, that's okay. You can get it somewhere else. But I want you to offer water first every time, and then juice as maybe sometimes. That's another way, going way back to when we were talking about flavoring waters. If you wanted to do mostly water with a splash of juice, that's fine. That's a great way to flavor water for kids. So there's nothing wrong with juicing, other than I feel like you're missing out on some of the benefits of having the whole fruit, but it's totally fine. Everything's fine.
Thank you, Chardell.
You're welcome.